What's up, YouTube family? It's Lamont Lashley Jr. And today's video, I'm going to talk about what is a land bank and what's the purpose of a land bank. I am your 2024 Chicago West Side Developer of the Year. I've coached over 5,000 individuals on anything pertaining to credit to real estate. I'm a multi-million serial entrepreneur, a social impact real estate developer since 2018, and me and my uncle been able to build a $5 million real estate portfolio from nothing in a few short years. We work closely with the CHA and another company called Facing Forward, where we rehab some of our properties and with them rent them to homeless families, just trying to stabilize families so that they can have a better life and thrive together. And now our focus is teaching as many people the blueprint as possible so we all can thrive at the end of the day. Right. So I just want to give a special shout out and thanks to my mentor and partner, LaShawn Lashley Sr. Thank you for leading the way. And we look forward to just empowering as many individuals as we can. Right. So let's jump right into it with it. The land bank that we deal closely with is the Cook County Land Bank Authority, short for CCLBA, right? And it's located in Chicago, Illinois. It is one of the largest land banks in the nation, right? The inventory includes anything from land, vacant properties, as low as $5,000 all the way up to $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 as such, right? The Cook County Land Bank, they have worked with new investors, but of course, we all understand that these land banks do want to work with experienced individuals, right? But another thing that I noticed with the CCLBA is that if you are selling the property, they have what's called like a grant up to $20,000 that they'll give to that new home buyer or individual that's purchasing that property, which is really cool and neat, just to help build that equity as soon as you purchase the property, right? And if you just want any more information about the Cook County Land Bank, you can visit the cookcountylandbank.org, right? And what I have pulled up now is pretty much when you visit the Cook County Land Bank Authority and you look at their inventory, you can zoom in and see a map of everything, right? And what's important is the legend at the bottom where it says properties by inventory type. Key things you want to note is the green dots are for vacant land, right? The red dots are for commercial property and the orange dots are for residential homes. And then you'll notice to the right, it'll have these lists of properties where, that you can, filter them from smallest price to the highest price, or by vacant properties or vacant land. It does not matter. So when you're navigating through the site, these are the things that you want to look for so that you can be able to understand, okay, what am I clicking and what am I doing, right? This is a property that we got from the Cook County Land Bank. It is a 4-unit property that we was able to purchase for about $57,000. And if you done work with these land bank properties, they typically need a lot of work, right? And our rehab budget on this property was about $465,000. And the ARV came in about $700,000. So it's actually a two-story apartment building in the front, and then it has what's called a coach house that's in the back with 2 additional units, right? And as you can see in this bottom right lower picture, you can see the coach house, right? So in the coach house, we have traditional tenants upstairs, and then down below we have what's called travel nursing, which is a great way to double your income, just dealing with travel nursing because they rent out by the room. Also in the front, we have a Section 8 tenant upstairs, and then on the first floor we have an Airbnb property that that's doing very well on Airbnb. So just think about the power of real estate. It allows you that flexibility of just doing different things to generate income. And after all expenses, on average, we bring in about $2,850 a month cash flow, and that's after all the water bills, after all the expenses and everything, because our travel nurses pretty much pay a one fee and they get everything included, Wi-Fi, landscaping and everything, putting reserves to the side and different things like that, which I believe is a fair amount, right? So what I would like to talk about now is how I'm helping my nurse student double her salary in just a few months by utilizing the land bank. So at first she came to me and she was trying to purchase a property from the MLS, and it was about $60,000 to $70,000, which is not bad. But most of us all know that the MLS can be overpriced at times. So I introduced to her and said, hey, we're in Chicago. We have land banks. Look into a land bank property. And surely behold, she was able to locate a property, a two-family, multi-family property for $10,000. So I literally saved her $50,000 to $60,000 on the purchase. And, she was able to find this property for $10,000. And now she's going to invest about $225,000. She's going to be all in about $235,000. And his property is looking good on coming back anywhere from, $330,000 to $350,000. So she's looking forward to make her first six figures on her first project. So I'm just super ecstatic and super excited for my nurse student ratio. I'm just, so glad that she was able to, trust my judgment and my mentorship. And now we're getting her through this properly the correct way, right? So some notable land banks nationwide. There's more than 250 land banks nationwide for you all that don't know. In Illinois, we have the Cook County Land Bank, right? Alabama has the Birmingham Land Bank, right? Tennessee has land banks. Delaware has, Wilmington Land Bank, Ohio. And then Michigan was another popular land bank as well. And you can go to buildingdetroit.org. They have a land bank as well. And some of those properties are even as low as $1,000, right? And you can visit the link below to actually go and, see and check out the National Land Bank map and just see what land banks are in your area or what's near to you so you can take advantage of these. I always tell people, get educated about land banks because it's amazing and it's the cheapest properties that you're going to be able to find. And it's a good way to get into real estate because everything is so pricey nowadays, right? So what is a land bank, right? A public authority or non-for-profit that focuses on the conversion of vacant, abandoned, tax delinquent, or foreclosed properties so they can bring them into productive use, right? And this is how the cycle goes, right? These vacant properties become deteriorated and, tax delinquent, right? So now the property is foreclosed on by the city, right? So the land bank acquires the property at an auction, or from the city, right? And then the land bank clears the title, they clear the water bill, they clear all the liens and everything that has to do with the property and take full ownership, right? And then now the land bank gets the property and they remove all the, whatever they can from the property so they can list it pretty much and, for sale to another investor, right? So then the land bank, they post the property for sale and then they include like a bid deadline, and sometimes they even they do like an open house type of thing, or they'll just give you an access code so you can come in and check the property out. So now the interested bidders, they visit the property, right? And if you go visit one of these properties, I recommend that you take one or two contractors, get a few different prices so you can see, where your rehab budget gonna come in at, right? So these interested bidders, they visit the property and they submit a purchase application by the deadline. These properties are auction style, so they have deadlines. And then the land bank reviews all the bids. They select a winning bid and sell the property to the winning bidder. The winner bidder rehabs the property in a certain amount of time. You have to have a certain amount of time, whether they're going to rent it to, tenants or whether they're going to sell it. And now this property is returned to active community use, as a residential business. It can be maintained for lawn and gardens, just depending on if it's vacant land or a specific property. But overall, the purpose is to change from problem properties to productive properties. That is what the land bank is trying to do, right? So when is a land bank the right tool for a community, right? If the population is losing, right? If it's high vacant rates, right? If it's abandonment issues and things like that, right? If it's weak economic conditions, right? Properties with little market value, this is when the land bank steps in because they're trying to revitalize that neighborhood. They're trying to, better the neighborhood and the conditions of the specific area. It depends if it's like hurricanes or, something astronomical as, the Great Depression or something like that. That's when they kind of step in, right? The purpose to advance equity, is pretty much they want to have public land and use it for public good. So it's literally open to everybody. No one's, can't get access to the land bank. It's open for everybody. So, I just want to educate as many people because I know how it will help change things for me. And I know it can do the same thing for you, especially on the buy-in price, because that's typically a lot of our, issues, right? So what are the key powers of the land bank, which I mentioned a few times, right? So they can acquire tax foreclosed properties cost effectively. They have the ability to extinguish liens and clear the title. So wipe away all the liens and, tax bills and water bills and everything like that, right? And their disposition decisions are flexible, right? It's not about like the highest price. They just want the best outcome and what investor is going to finish the job, right? So go in here with the intention of trying to finish the job at a timely rate, because they will give you a certain time, right? And one thing about it, they allow a low entry point for new investors, which is amazing, because places like New York and Los Angeles is extremely hard to get into, right? So what is their mission? Locate distressed properties in the community, connect with developers with these distressed properties, and rehab properties to revitalize and improve the neighborhoods. That is what the land bank is in place to do. If you ride around, it's so many different vacant properties. So they say, hey, let's put together a program so we can help solve this issue as best as we can as possible, right? So what are some pros and what are some cons, right? Some pros: no tax returns, no credit checks, right? These are the cheapest properties ever, and they're able to provide grants, like I said before, to new homeowners who purchase these properties. So that's something new that they just started doing, but it's just, like I said, it's to help that new homeowner start building equity from the jump, right? Some cons: sometimes it might take a while to close on these properties, so don't get frustrated. These properties are really distressed. They need a lot of work, but sometimes it's good because now you can do a full gut, that it's a, new water bill, new HVAC, new electrical. These properties are in tip top shape to last, 100 years, right? It's an auction style bid. And sometimes dealing with the land bank, you can't decide if you want to do a buy and hold or flip the property. It's up to the land bank. So that can get, discouraging sometimes, but just build a relationship, do whatever they want is asked. And in the long run, you'll benefit more working with the land banks, right? Our specific process is we locate and bid on land bank properties. We usually close on these properties, cash, a credit card, or a business line of credit. And then once we close on the property, we go to a hard money lender, and they typically want 20 to 25% down on our construction loans, and we get the funds from the hard money lender so that we can actually rehab this process. So if we buy it and hold it, we'll refinance into a 30-year loan with our hard money lenders. And if we decided to flip it, then we'll just flip it, pay off the hard money lenders, and we'll keep the difference after all the fees and expenses, right? And then what we're going to do, take that money and continue to invest so that we can build wealth, right? It's not about how much you make, it's how much you keep, right? So this is another one of our 2-unit apartment buildings we purchased for $44,000. The rehab price was $145,000, right? The ARV came back at $300,000, and we rent both of these units out today currently for $1,600 each. So it's bringing in about $3,200 a month in rent, right? So after all the, the mortgages, the taxes, the reserves and everything, we're cash flowing about $1,300 per month, which is amazing on this specific 2-unit property building that we got from the land bank. These are some pictures so you can just see some of the, the rehab work, good floors to use. Is a luxury vinyl flooring if you got rental properties, shaker cabinets, and we use a passive gray on our walls and different things like that. Nice quartz countertops, as you can see as well in the pictures as well, right? So what are the steps to acquire a land bank property, right? Number one is you want to locate your local land bank and create you an account or a profile, right? Check and see if land banks are in your area, and if they are, then go and look at the inventory. You might have to drive sometime, go drive, but it's going to be one of the best relationships you can build, right? Then you want to locate the property, right, and request to gain access to the property that you're interested in. Talk to your realtor so you can get your ARV first, and then take a general contract or two so you can get some pricing on the rehab budget, right, so you can make it make sense. Then you want to complete the application and submit your bid before the deadline. Some important tips is when you're sending in a proof of funds, see if you can send a pre-approval letter for the construction loan. See if you can send a screenshot of the money in your checking account showing that you have the money to purchase the property. This is going to strengthen your application. If you have previous construction work on bathrooms, kitchens, all of that helps, right? Even if you're a new investor, you can partner with a general contractor and leverage their relationship and leverage their history with their properties that they rehab, with your income. And, that's how you can start building a relationship with a land bank. So once you submit your application, your bid, now rate on your results. If you are not rewarded, don't get discouraged, right? It's a lot of people who do not get rewarded the first, second, third times, but keep shooting at it. I tell my students all the time, at least one property a year at the land bank is going to be exceptional because they're so cheap and they're going to be the cheapest properties that you can get, so you make your money when you buy. But review the reasons why you were denied. They'll let you know these are the reasons why you were denied. I will correct any issues that you see. I've been through this process. Correct any issue. It could be paperwork, could be proof of funds, it could be the bid amount you sent. I always send in the minimum amount. I don't try to go less than that. Just trying to strengthen the application, and then resubmit the bid if it pops back up on the market, which it typically does. And then wait on updates so that you can move forward. Now, if you are awarded, congratulations, right? Now you are on your way to working with the land bank and building a relationship with the land bank. So you want to accept your property because they want to know, hey, you want to bid, do you want to accept it and move forward depending on your situation? And typically they give you anywhere from 6 to 12 months, but it depends on what state you're in, right? And don't get discouraged because I'm sure you'll be able to add an extension if you need a little bit of time, but just make sure you're doing what you're doing, right? Become aware of the compliance checklist. They want the property, to be to a certain standard to move forward. They will have an interest on your property until you finish or bring it up to compliance standards. So just keep that in mind. They want finishers, and that's what we want to produce, right? Also, you'll need to be required to complete a term sheet, letting them know, hey, when you expect to get done, what all rehab things you're going to be made, and so forth. And also, you want to connect your real estate attorney with the land bank so that you can set a closing date and prepare for payment. If you need a real estate attorney, reach out to your local realtor and partner up. Real estate is relationships. Do not forget that. So start networking, start building out your contractors now before you even get into real estate. Get as much education and information as you can, right? So now when you prepare for a closing day, how do you purchase your winning land bank property? You can use a cashier's check from your business account, from your personal account, right? I prefer, a business account, purchasing these properties with your business name. You can use credit cards to wire the funds. It's a website called Plastique. It's another website called Melio Payments. Just like one of my students, Moon, she was able to purchase a land bank property for $15,000 using the business credit card, using the methods that I taught her to get funded and, go through with this process. So that's another way that you can kind of leverage credit so that you can get into real estate, right? Or you can just wire over the cash from a lender or, from your bank account. So these are additional tips after you officially close on a property and it's yours, right? You own a property, you close, it's yours. You want to make sure your property has, property insurance. Make sure these properties are insured. Anything can happen with your property, so just keep that in mind. Also, you want to secure the property, right? Put cameras up if possible, put a gate up, reach out to dog doors so that you can get the windows, windows boarded up, the doors covered, and register your property as vacant with the city, right? The reason why you want to do that is because you could have running water on the property and not know it, and now you'll get a $400 or $500 water bill. But if you register your property as vacant when you get it, now they know, hey, this property is vacant, no one's living here. Hey, it might cost, let's say, $100 a month or something like that versus $400 to $500, right? Also, check and see if that property is in demolition court. Sometimes these properties with the land bank, they try to tear them down. So just double check that. Have your real estate attorney dig into that and see, just so you can be compliant. You know what I'm saying? And look to hire an architect so you can provide permitted work. Sometimes the judge want to know how serious you are. So if you have an architect with permitted work, now that looks good when you go to demo court and saying, hey, we trying to save this property, right? Additional real estate advice. Make sure you always have multiple exit strategy, whether that's renting it out, Airbnb in it, or if you're trying to sell it. Just keep that in mind when you're budgeting and, just thinking about your property, right? Understand it's important to flip properties as well as to buy and hold. That is very, very important, that you need to know when to buy and you need to know when to sell. You need to know when to rent and you need to know when to buy. We we make our money in our big lump sums doing flips, but we keep our wealth with buying whole properties, and that's how you truly build wealth, right? And just remember, real estate is relationships. And also the ARV is one of the most important numbers. You need to know that number because you don't want to put all this money into this property and it's not worth what they say it's going to be worth. You want to know that in the door, right? So if you're looking up a property, become best friends with a realtor, not just a regular realtor, an investor realtor, someone who has rental experience, someone who's been, investing in properties. You know what I'm saying? Those realtors provide a better experience, right? So you start looking at properties, get the rehab budget and get that ARV number down packed so you can know exactly how much it's going to be worth. If you're looking to get the highest amount of money in return for your investment, look to add things like bathrooms and bedrooms. That's how you increase the value and make your money on the back end, right? You make your money when you buy. I want everybody to know in this video that the rehab budget costs what the rehab costs. It does not change. So you make your money when you buy. The only thing you can do is get your property for the cheapest amount of price, and land banks provide that opportunity, and that's why I love land banks. So just keep that in mind. You make your money when you buy, right? Another one of our properties that we got from the land bank, we purchased for $50,000. The rehab price is $240,000, and the ARV came back at $415,000. So the top floor and the second floor we rent out for $1,800, and the basement property we rent out for $1,500 right now. And pretty much after all expenses, landscaping, mortgage, and everything like that, we're cash flowing a little over $2,500 right now currently. And of course the value is going up, and this was back in 2020. So the property value is way up from where it's at now. But another home run deal from the land bank, right? As long as you're making a proper budget, you're checking in the ARVs, you're doing your due diligence, you have good guys that's gonna do the job, you making the proper relationships. It's a home run partnering up with the land bank, right? So like my mentor told me, I want to tell everybody, you cannot save your way to a millionaire. You have to invest. And this is just a check from one of our first flips that we ever did. And we was able to get a check for $114,000. Like, let me know how $114,000 could change your life and change your family's lives just with one property from the land bank. Drop that in the chat. Let me know how that can be impactful to you and what you have going on. If you do not take a risk, you will end up paying rent to somebody who did. So just keep that in mind, right? I have guided hundreds of individuals, right, to success, replicate my exact strategies, and I would love to, help anybody. So I just want to thank you for your time. I hope you learned something new. Drop one thing in the comments of something you learned about a land bank that you didn't know, or if you haven't been working with a land bank and you were inspired in a different manner, provide some feedback in the chat. Like this, share this. Make sure you guys give me a follow on Instagram. If you have any questions or you want to send some feedback, you can email me at support@leaveyourlegacy.info. And I want to invite everybody to a bonus 7-figure trainer at the website www.businesscredittowealth.com. Other than that, once again, thank you, Westside Landlord, Lamont Jr., checking out, and I will see y'all on the next one.